Welcome everyone to a Good Vibes Gaming weekly discussion, and this week I am joined by Brandon Miracle and Daniel Alba to discuss 3DS and Wii U recommendations because we're losing those eShops. It sucks, it's awful, there's a lot of good stuff out there, especially on 3DS, and we just wanted to offer up a few recommendations that we might have. And this was actually voted on in a poll of discussion topics by our lovely patrons, and this is what they decided. So if you want to support us on Patreon, you can decide on what we talk about as well. But apparently our patrons want to know what to spend their money on, what to grab before these shops close that might be difficult, or just games that they might have missed that we recommend. And I think that's the key thing here, because John has his own video going over some of the lost classics, the things that you really can't find on the systems. We're going to just go more, yeah, here's some of those, but also here's some just good games you might not have been able to play. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get to that. And you know what, Brandon, I'm going to put you in the spotlight. You go first. Ooh. Yeah. What do you recommend on, I guess, should we start on 3DS or Wii U? Probably Wii U, because there's a little less there.
Yeah, I was thinking Wii U.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one that I have for Wii U is not even a Wii U game. It's a Wii game. It's a Metroid Prime Trilogy. Because, as many of you probably know, Metroid Prime Trilogy on Wii is a very, very expensive physical game. So when it came to the Wii U eShop, it was great because, one, it was easier to play. It was on an HD system, and you didn't have to spend so much money to get it. These are three really incredible games. Metroid Primes 1 and 3 specifically are two of my favorite games ever. Admittedly, I've never actually finished Metroid Prime 2. I'm kind of hoping that this trilogy comes to the Switch at some point so I can try it again. But yeah, these are incredible games, and you should definitely pick it up if you haven't gotten to play these before.
I've actually not played the trilogy versions of these games. I did pick it up. I do have this version. I just never sat down to play it. It's kind of weird to me to think about playing Prime 1 and 2 with a Wii remote. I don't know, but it's probably better, be honest.
Oh, it's so much better. The motion controls really open up the just your combat potential because you're so much faster, I guess, with how you aim. One of the things I always liked about Metroid Prime 3 when it first came out was like you could lock on to an enemy, but you still had free range of aiming. So you could lock onto an enemy, but you could shoot an enemy that's over there, which really made it nice and snappy. Because like if you lock onto an enemy and another enemy is more of a threat to you and you don't have time to switch your lock-on targets, it was really cool to be able to quickly shoot off in a different direction and then come back to what you were aiming at. So the motion controls really just opened up the potential of those games.
Yeah.
And if that's something that you don't like, you can also you can opt to have that option to be taken off. So if you lock on, you can have it so that it does focus just on that one enemy, or you could have it so that you're more free range the entire time, like whichever way is more comfortable. I always have it so I lock on the enemy because I feel like I can't trust myself to stay focused on them as I shoot.
Yeah, I'd probably be the same way.
But yeah, Metroid Prime 1 and 2 definitely they benefit from having the expanded features. Like I always was impressed in hindsight how this game was able to function as a first-person shooter without having two sticks. It's just the one stick. The other stick was mostly just for adjusting what beam cannon you're using on the GameCube. But yeah, it really opens up the different kinds of possibilities. And I love Metroid Prime 1. I think Metroid Prime 2 gets a little too much not hate, but I think it needs a fair chance. Like I appreciate it more now than before.
It shouldn't be as much of a black sheep.
yeah, pretty much.
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, I can't say anything bad about that recommendation. What about you, Daniel? What would you recommend on the Wii U?
On the Wii U, well, I was going to recommend Metroid Prime Trilogy, so I got to think.
You two think way too much alike. That's.
Yeah. Another one I could think of that I don't know if it's going to be. I think it is exclusive to Wii U before the shop closes. Is Dr. Luigi for the Wii U. I love the original Dr. Mario. I used to play that with friends every now and then, or whenever I would go visit family, we would have that playing, and I never really understood it as a kid. It just, the pills and the moving it around, it really kind of just threw me off.
Yeah.
But then I think Dr. Luigi was how I got a little more appreciation for the series, and it also had the ability to show you. Let me fix myself. Oh my god, I hate my camera. It has the Operation L mode, where it's the traditional play, but the pills are also can be L-shaped, and that really threw a wrench into how you think about the entirety of the puzzle board. And I don't know, it's just a fun little gem, a little hidden gem that you can play if you enjoyed the original Dr. Mario. It's a nice little twist on things. I believe leaderboards are still active for one reason or another.
They're tapped out as far as those leaderboards from John's video, but it's impressive to say the least.
So yeah, our poor boy Luigi in the year 2013, he got a PhD, and then everything went to crap for Nintendo. But this game came out, so
I tried that L mode, and as a fan of Dr. Mario since the NES version, it threw me for a loop. I was like, I don't know about this, but it is fun on its own if you would need some from Dr. Mario action, and it's a good time. As far as one of my recommendations, it's unfortunately John kind of takes a lot of the good ones, but they are good. The NES Remix 1 and 2. They're a lot of fun. If you want those quick snippets for playing games in different ways, kind of a WarioWare-esque game, NES Remix does the job. It's a lot of fun, and it's weirdly addictive unlocking the next game and seeing what else you can do in there and doing the next thing and so forth. I don't know. It's just something simple yet addictive.
Oh yeah, it's so fun to see what they throw at you next. Like you'll be playing as NES Link through a Mario Brothers stage, and then you'll be Samus in a Zelda related environment, and it's like mix all these together, see what you can create from this, and it makes you think like what kind of gameplay you can mix with other characters, like a 2D Zelda that's not Zelda 2, but some kind of 2D platformer. It makes you wonder what the possibilities could be, but they're fun little what ifs essentially.
Yeah. It's kind of the best way to treat it, is like, what if we were to mix these? And a lot of people were hoping that we'd get a SNES remix. Never happened.
That would have been great.
Yeah, that was like the next big thing, and I just never did it. But I think they only got like a very limited physical release, so digital is definitely the way to go for this one. So definitely pick that up. Any other Wii recommendations, Brandon?
This one's a little more broad. The Nintendo DS games, because Wii U got Nintendo DS Virtual Console games, which was kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's probably worth looking. I have not actually looked at any of those. I need to do that because there's probably a lot of 3DS games on there that are worth picking up.
The one that I got was a game I had always wanted to play. I was a little disappointed in it, but at least I got to do it. It was Yoshi's Island DS. Yoshi's Island on Super Nintendo is one of my favorite platformers ever. I just love that game. Yoshi's Island DS is not that.
No, stick with Woolly World as far as, Yoshi games, but that's fortunately physical and not too hard to get a hold of. But
right.
Yeah.
But just in general, I thought it was really cool that the Wii U got DS games at all. Like, there was various different configurations you could play it in. You could have the dual screens on the Wii U gamepad. You could have one screen up on the TV, the touchscreen on the gamepad. That was really flexible. I think you could even have both screens on the TV. I think that's how I played Yoshi's Island DS. Because that game required both for platforming.
I was going to ask, was it stacked on top of each other, or did you have it another way?
I had it stacked.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could only put stacked on top of each other if you're doing on TV screen. I was always so irked that you couldn't just put them side by side and utilize more of my widescreen TV space for that, because I tried to play Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon with somebody who wanted to check out Fire Emblem a bit, but there was no good configuration to show both screens unless we like huddled really close on the Wii U gamepad. I'm just like, please just have them side by side. That's the one configuration I want, but they had to stack them on and it made everything kind of small. But it is really cool that they have that option there available at all for DS games. That's how I played Spirit Tracks for the first time, was just on the Wii U Virtual Console.
I pulled up the list of DS games that came to the system, and my God, there's some pretty good ones in here. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, Pokemon Ranger, Kirby Canvas Curse, Mario Hoops 3-on-3, Picross 3D.
That's a great one.
Picross 3D, I've heard amazing things about. Amy loves the Style Savvy games, so if you want to try that out, there's the original for you. Mario Kart DS, WarioWare Touched. There's a solid lineup of DS games on there that I guarantee, at least for the Pokemon ones, you'll be paying a lot of money. So, and probably even Mario Hoops. So, probably worth.
It's its own like list that we can compile for recommendations. It's just DS games you can get on a Virtual Console that you can't find physically anywhere else now.
Mm-hmm. And even some Game Boy Advance games, because those were on there too. And I'm looking through that list, and you got like the Battle Network games. You got Mario Pinball Land. You got Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament. You got a Klonoa game on there. That's ridiculous. Freaking Onimusha Tactics is on there.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Like, a lot of people probably forgot that these games were on there to enjoy and check out. It's wild.
You would think that GBA and DS games would have been served better as being Virtual Console games available through the 3DS.
You'd think.
That said, Ambassadors did get like 10 Game Boy Advance games that were never provided to anybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to think that all of these games ended up on the Wii U and not the 3DS.
I know. You got your two Golden Suns on there. You got a lot of Mega Man games, the original Klonoa GBA games on there. Drill Dozer, a great underrated classic from Game Freak, I believe, is there. And as John said, the Super Mario Advance 4 version of Super Mario Bros. 3, which includes the e-reader levels, that's worth it alone. Like, that is a recommendation, because you will not find another way to play that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only major console or handheld that's not represented in the Wii U Virtual Console is the GameCube, and that's kind of mind-boggling that every other system up to that point was represented in there. So there's a big wealth of games
that
to play.
way.
Yeah.
Yep, it still is.
GameCube is shoved aside.
GameCube.
Also, I mean, I feel like most people watching us know this, but seriously, if you've not played Minish Cap, Zelda Minish Cap, play Zelda Minish Cap.
I love that game.
It's a really good title.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, good. The Virtual Console is definitely something to take a look at on there and see what else you can pick up. I mean, just looking at even the N64 games, Bomberman 64. Heck yes, I'd love it to come to the Switch in their own way. Don't know for sure. Ash is always talking about Wave Race 64, and Excite Bike 64 on there. That could be a thing. Personally, I mean, if you want one of the rare RPGs on 64 that's not Paper Mario and not Quest, Ogre Battle 64, which I believe did get a PSP re-release as well, but who plays the PSP? So that's another sort of issue. So yeah, it's kind of crazy how solid the lineup is for some of these games that we don't have even on Switch yet, even though they have those options.
Strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
We end up talking more about Wii U's Virtual Console than the actual other games, which says a lot about its library, unfortunately.
Yeah, like I'm even looking through my games, and the thing is, the games I have physically should still be relatively easy to pick up. Like, I'd recommend quite a few, like Paper Mario Color Splash. Not perfect, but the writing is great. Didn't get ported to the Switch, but it's also available physically, so it shouldn't be too hard to pick up. But it is one to keep an eye out for. And I'll always say Xenoblade Chronicles X, especially with its digital upgrades to make it run better, even beyond the physical version. So
Right.
That's always
Yeah, I would have absolutely have recommended Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but that's now on Switch with a more definitive version. A lot of these titles are comfortably on Switch as well, but yeah, it's the ones that we're going to be missing out on that hurt. Like that.
Unfortunately, keep an eye out for like more puzzle games. Smaller puzzle games is I think the best way to go. Like Pushmo and Crashmo. Not a place. Like Pushmo World, great little puzzler. Great. It gets hard. It gets really hard, but it's really good. So yeah. But any other Wii U games from any of us? Like I'm honestly getting kind of tapped.
Not really, honestly. I think we mentioned the major ones for us.
My only other Wii U game is one that you could probably get pretty cheap physically, and it also crosses over into 3DS territory. And you know me, I love Monster Hunter, so I want to talk about Monster Hunter for a few minutes. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate came out on both Wii U and 3DS. And this is the enhanced port of Monster Hunter Tri, which came out on the Wii. It had a big marketing push, tons of commercials, was very successful. But they didn't do that for Monster Hunter Tri Ultimate. So this was kind of in that period where they were like, is Monster Hunter going to do well in the West? We don't know.
Who knows?
But the real reason I wanted to bring this up is because 3DS players could actually hook up with Wii U players and play multiplayer. And your save file could transfer between the Wii U and 3DS versions. And if you wanted to take 3DS players online with you, as long as there was a Wii U in the equation somewhere, you could all play online together, which is pretty neat. It's just one of those weird kind of strangely Nintendo-style internet solutions that you can still experiment with, because I'm pretty sure you can still play online. I don't know how much longer you'll be able to, but yeah, just an interesting way to play that game.
Mm-hmm. Definitely still out there.
Very nice.
Hey, as you said, that works pretty well as a transitional game. Although I do see one of our live audience members mentioning the HD Zelda games. I mean, yeah, but they're also available physically, and I don't think they're too hard to find. I think I might be wrong about that. Double check that. But definitely those. But also, I will be shocked if those don't end up on Switch. So
yeah,
that's gotta happen. Yeah,
just flummoxed if that doesn't happen.
They're just pacing things out between Skyward Sword's release, Breath of the Wild 2 hype, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll come eventually.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Daniel? What 3DS game would you recommend?
Well, much like how Brandon will speak of Monster Hunter, I will speak of Fire Emblem while I'm on here, because there's actually a pretty major one on this list as far as titles that are going to be lost to time if you don't receive them now. Fire Emblem Fates has two versions, as people know, Birthright and Conquest, that were released physically. And if you got the special edition, we would get that and another route, the Revelations Path, which is now only available digitally on the eShop. And the Revelations Path is essentially what if Corrin decides neither of the paths for Birthright or Conquest, and it's more like what I guess kind of what people would consider the Golden Route for Three Houses that doesn't exist, where essentially throughout this story you get essentially most of the characters from both sides into one story, where you kind of go into the deeper mysteries of what the plot was really about, and it focuses a lot more on Azura and where she's from. And yeah, it's quite a lot to take in, because if you want to get like all the kids, you have to pair up everybody, do all their paralogs, because they're all available now, like in one playthrough, and it can get kind of exhausting because there's exclusive supports between kids between Birthright and Conquest that normally wouldn't meet on a normal playthrough. But that aside, also in conjunction with that, the DLC for Heirs of Fate for that is a very it's a unique DLC content where you are playing as the children, only the children in this route, and everything is set. Like, you have set levels and everything, so it's more like of a challenge than anything. But it's kind of a Marvel-esque, like, what if the events of Birthright and the events of Conquest both happened, and these characters meet together, and they have to find out what happened to their parents. Azura's son Shigure is pretty much like the main leader here now, who is trying to weave together what happened. And yeah, it's its own little mini 6-chapter story, I believe. And it's pretty interesting, honestly. Like, it's probably the most well-written portion. Like, people will crap on the writing of this game, but that's probably the most well-written section of this game that's not going to be available. And a little bonus, if you want to ever hear Matt Mercer sing, he'll sing "Lost in Thoughts All Alone" in the last chapter, and it's kind of amazing.
That's amazing. I mean, DLC in general for the Fire Emblem 3DS games are insane. I just looked it up. Yeah. Awakening by itself has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 packs, each at $6.50. Yeah. They're expensive. But they do get you about 3 maps each.
Yeah, those are a lot of those have like legacy characters. You could get like Lyn from Fire Emblem 7. You can get Alm and Ike and all those characters. Like Seliph, who was still not available anywhere else. You can learn more about his story. With this DLC, yeah, Fire Emblem has such interesting DLC. I'm notoriously Shadows of Valentia. Its weight in DLC is worth more than the actual base game itself. So
I do not have that. So
they went ham on that, really.
Oh my gosh. So, and Fates is almost worse. There are 21 DLC episodes.
There's a lot of stuff with that. If you need, there's like crazy crossover stuff with Awakening, because Fates has a few characters from Awakening that take place there. There's like just your usual like, oh, here's maps for farming experience and gold. But yeah, I mean, if you have to pick one or a few, Heirs of Fate is a really good one.
Yeah, it's not bad. And oh boy, yeah. Unfortunately, with a lot of these, obviously you'll be spending some money, so you got to sort of pick and choose. But
yeah.
A lot. But for smaller games that I can recommend, there is one game on the Switch, but it's different. It is different than these games. The Box Boy trilogy, again, great little puzzlers put out by HAL, fun, amazing, and yeah, we did get a Switch version, co-op, and all that. But this goes even beyond that. It makes its own little trilogy of games that talks about stuff. Box Boy is great. It's simple. It's fun. I mean, I can't really say too much more about it. It's just a good time. So, definitely that. And I can't imagine a physical version costs too much, because this game did not sell well at all. But I will always champion on the 3DS, codename Steam.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And that's always the reaction. It's like, oh, right, that was a thing.
I bought it for 99 cents new at GameStop once.
There you go. And
it's a good game.
It's really good. It is really good. I was the only person excited for that game when it was announced in the theater. Only one.
They all thought it was going to be Majora's Mask. That's the only reason that game gets hate.
Yeah.
But no, you can team up President Lincoln with Marth. It's an incredible experience.
Yeah. And you can team up.
Ike is in the game.
Yeah, team up Ike and Alice from Alice in Wonderland, because it's just that weird of a game.
It's a very quirky game.
It is very quirky. So it's probably relatively cheap now if you can find it physically, but if you can't, it might be worth looking into. Like maybe do an Amazon search and whatnot if you're interested. And it's a fun Valkyria Chronicles-esque strategy game. I like
Valkyria.
Fight some aliens.
Yeah. Abe Lincoln and his team of fables basically fight aliens.
It's amazing.
Any other suggestions, Brandon?
Yeah. So I guess first I'll mention the 3DS Classics line, where they would take an NES game and say, let's sprinkle some 3D on that. But there's one in particular that I wanted to bring up, and that's Kid Icarus. Because Kid Icarus is a notoriously hard maybe not that great of a game on NES. But the 3DS Classics version, they add backgrounds, so you're not just on a black screen the entire time. I think there were save points as well, so it's not nearly as brutal. Because if you die in Kid Icarus, or you lose all your lives, it gets sent back to the beginning of the game.
Yep.
And that's mean.
Oh, it is super mean.
Yeah.
So if you want a good way to play Kid Icarus that isn't brutal and isn't mean to you, definitely play the 3DS Classics version. It's also just cool getting to play NES games in 3D, because they do some pretty neat stuff with the visuals in those games. I think in the case of Excite Bike, not only did you get, the 3D perspective, but they actually made the tracks 3D. So like you would see the ramps expand into 3D space. Just some really cool stuff. And we're never going to get those versions of those games again. So if you want to play them, you should probably pick them up.
Yeah. I remember playing Kirby's Adventure in 3D, and that's just like it's so fascinating to see like that kind of stuff in 3D now today. And Kid Icarus always gets a special kind of love from Nintendo, and it's either here nor there. Like he gets a whole game remade, he gets his 3D version. Well, I mean,
then he goes in the vault.
Yeah, and then it just goes away forever. But yeah, that and Sega 3D Classics had some fun ones on there too.
Oh yeah,
true.
Sonic the Hedgehog on there. You could play what the heck, Gunstar Heroes, Echo the Dolphin, Afterburner. Those are fun to play in 3D. But yeah, I'm gonna really miss those kind of titles. Like it's a very unique take on an old classic that really just give it a new fresh coat of paint and some new life.
Yeah, agreed. Did you have any other suggestions? You kind of jumped in on Brandon's there, so I'm sure you have your own other suggestions there, Daniel.
Man, for 3DS titles, this game it didn't really get much of a chance to shine, just simply because it came out at the time it did. But Persona Q2, one of the only times that we see Joker in the Nintendo console, even before Smash Brothers, because this poor boy can't get his own game on a system somehow. But man, we're gonna get every other character on there. Yeah, it's like a very Etrian Odyssey-esque style game where you're going through generated maps, kind of mapping out on your touchscreen. Like you can only do it with the 3DS essentially, or a dual screen system. But yeah, this was a 2018 release, a year after the Switch had already been in the cycle and has started to get a healthy amount of games. But I really enjoyed this one. I had fun with it. It's cool to see all the characters cross over with different Persona 3, 4, and 5 characters all together. And yeah,
Plus you get to see more of Kotone, who is the best protagonist.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up next, because Atlas, for some reason, will just not acknowledge this girl unless you're playing Puzzle and Dragons on mobile. But Kotone is the best Persona protagonist. I will not have any arguments otherwise. Persona 3 Portable is still locked to the PSP. Please make a definitive version where we could combine the best of both worlds, and you can explore a world with Persona 3 as our female protagonist. Like, she's so much more than just the female skin and a pink overlay for Persona 3 Portable, and that shows in this game, where she's a lot more quirky, she's more fun. She actually is not as brooding as some of the other protagonists for Persona. But yeah, I just really want to see more people know this character. And yeah, that's buy Persona Q2 for Kotone. You will not be disappointed.
I never played Portable, so I had no experience with her. But yeah, she grows on you super quick, and just with her personality, and mixing and matching the characters, seeing how they work together, fit together. It's fun. It's a good time. I never beat it, but it was what I played was a lot of fun. And I don't really play Etrian Odyssey type games, but I still had fun mapping it out. Can be tough, but that's typical for Persona, Shin Megami Tensei games, whatever.
Yeah.
And well, for me, we need to talk about dragons, and that involves a couple of different dragon games. One is Dragon Ball Fusions, an excellent 3D adventure game where you get to fuse all kinds of Dragon Ball characters together. I looked it up just recently. It is currently $70 on if you want your physical version of Dragon Ball Fusions. So if you want a really good Dragon Ball Z game where you get to fuse whoever you want with whoever else. You want to fuse Raditz and Nappa. You want to fuse the entire Ginyu Force together. You can do it. It is wild
Finally.
and a great little adventure game that it's a good time. It's an RPG as well, so it's fun. Speaking of RPGs, Dragon Quest 7 and 8 also getting up there in price. Both really good games.
Love 8.
Yeah, definitely worth getting. Get it. They are both really great games. 7 has a lot of its issues fixed from the original release. 8 is, if it had better graphics and sound, it would be the absolute definitive version, but it's still really, really good. And yeah.
A lot of exclusive content in Dragon Quest 8 for the 3DS. Like, the only thing I don't enjoy is the fact that it's MIDI and not the symphonic soundtrack of PS2. If we could get those two worlds together, that'd be like the perfect combination of a definitive edition for this game. But love Dragon Quest 8.
Agreed. But yeah. But there's some Dragon games for you to pick up. What about you, Brandon? Any others that you could recommend?
Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix.
Ah, there you go.
Yep.
I love Rhythm Heaven. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was a digital-only release in the US.
I think you're right.
That's how I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the biggest thing about Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix is that it's basically just a big compilation of a ton of Rhythm Heaven stuff from, its various games, plus some new stuff. It has a very, very long campaign, and lots of mini games, and there's even multiplayer modes that I've spent a lot of time on. If you want some just pure fun Rhythm Heaven, this is the best game in the series, if you ask me. And
Nice.
hopefully not the last.
One can hope. What else you got? Daniel, any other ideas?
Because I know Ash will lose his mind if we don't mention it. Harmonite for the 3DS is also another one. There you go, Ash. I want to make sure you get hurt in this video. But yeah, great game. I love that one.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend before it disappears forever. Sadly,
One of
Has a
my
Pokemon
earliest
song in it.
reviews. Yeah, it
does.
It's done by Game Freak. Has some Pokemon tunes in there. It's a good time. An automatic runner / rhythm game, and it does its own thing. It's not just. It isn't like Bit Trip Runner. I don't think. Not exactly. It kind of does its own things, and it's a fun time. Also from Game Freak that you should. Oh my God, play it! It's so dumb and fun. But Pocket Card Jockey.
I've always wanted to try that.
Solitaire / horse racing / RPG. Makes no sense whatsoever. But it's weirdly addictive. Like, low-key one of Game Freak's best games.
I hear that a lot, but I can't even fathom how all three of those things fit together into a video game experience.
The better you do it, your solitaire, the more your horse is encouraged, and they could go faster and win the races, and you can then use that to raise up your horses for better stats, so you can go into your next game with for the solitaire and do even better and get to the higher and higher ranks. Simple loop,
God.
but it's really fun.
I love that.
Yeah. It's not typical solitaire where you're just slowly playing it out. It's like multi-card solitaire where different things can happen and you're just constantly swapping things. It's a little bit more active than the type of solitaire you would waste time at work in the 90s with.
Speaking of Game Freak, the last one from me is just the bevy of Pokemon games available on 3DS. I think you have red, blue, yellow. Is green available?
No,
Green is not
I think that's the
available now.
Japanese
Okay.
only.
This Japanese.
And then gold, silver, and crystal, I believe, are also on there.
Yeah, they definitely are.
The biggest thing is I'm pretty sure that trading functionality was in the games.
Yeah,
yeah.
You can send
Over
them
wireless.
to the home and whatnot, which
Yeah, you
is still
Pokemon
available.
Bank, send them home. One of the cool things, very unique, is that in Pokemon Crystal, you can do the Celebi event. That was only like a exclusive, download only thing you could get a long time ago. But yeah, that's for no reason at all. You could get Celebi in the game just by playing the version of the 3DS version. It was really cool.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you can trade from bank to home, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can still get those classic Pokemon to modern games.
Oh yeah,
you're running out of time.
I
but
think you
can
get a
do it.
little thing that says, "Hey, you pulled this off as well." So, not a bad idea. I saw something on that I owned that I was just like, "Is this still available?" I don't think it is, and it's already just a kind of a stab in the heart. Four Swords Anniversary Edition, the original Four Swords that was part of Link to the Past on Game Boy Advance. It was brought to the 3DS, I believe, with online. I want to say it was.
I think it was local wireless.
Local wireless, okay, yeah. So I was wrong about that. Unfortunately, long before this, nope, not available anymore. It's unfortunate if you missed it, it's gone. And thankfully, I did pick it up. I think it was free too.
It was. I picked it up as well.
I was elated because as a kid, like I had Link to the Past on Game Boy Advance, and there was just this whole other game on there I couldn't play because I didn't have anybody to play it with.
Right.
And it was just so difficult to get 4 people together with GBA Link cables. It was a mess. And they made it so much easier, and they made it so you could play it solo.
Yeah, they did.
So, like, if you want to play Four Swords, the original, this is really the best way to do it.
But it's not available anymore, which is dumb.
Yeah. It's like, if you don't have it, you don't have it. Because, it's a really cool entry to what they eventually did with Four Sword Adventures on the GameCube, which is a fantastic game. But you still need multiple Game Boys, multiple pieces of hardware to make it happen. And 3DS made it so much easier. So it's so unfortunate that you can't play it with other people unless you don't even have it now.
Yeah. Port it to Switch. Both of them.
Yeah, that'd be a really good idea.
I always wanted the original, or not the original, but the Four Swords Adventures for GameCube to be on 3DS. It'd be so easy to have, because you have to deal with 2 screens, your Game Boy Advance screen and the TV. And they never did that. They did it with the original, though, but it's better than nothing. But, man, there's a lot of lost potential there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And, I mean, until we know that we're getting a second trilogy, you might want to pick up Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice from Ace Attorney. Because
true.
It's the only way. And honestly, maybe even Apollo at that point, because I don't know how much Apollo's going for. And as many people point out each time with those, they are on mobile. I don't want to play on mobile.
Some people need a console experience instead.
I'll for whatever reason, I find the 3DS more comfortable than playing it on mobile. I don't know, but hopefully those will come to the Switch, and that won't be a problem anymore. But it's not gone completely, but it's the most ideal version right now, at least in my opinion.
Considering what we've gotten on Switch, I think there's a very strong chance that those games are going to come soon.
I hope so. I really hope so. So, another one is if you want a sort of, how do I want to put this? A more niche RPG that's very good. Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. That's probably pretty expensive now physically. So that's definitely worth picking up. And anything Shin Megami Tensei. If you have any interest in Shin Megami Tensei, pick it up. Devil Survivor, the Soul Hackers. Yeah, those will always get expensive. SMT4 for Apocalypse. I got the list now. Strange Journey Redux. Those 6 games, I think, are definitely worth a look at because physical SMT games can get pretty expensive. So, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Any other thoughts? Any other suggestions to what can people pick up? Actually, I'm looking through a list here. Daniel, how's Tales of the Abyss on 3DS?
I questioned if I should bring this up or not because I still prefer the PS2 version. There's some controls that are a bit not as intuitive on the 3DS. Also, you're using touchscreen as well. Mm-hmm. I did play it for a little while, and I think I I still would prefer, yeah, I would prefer on the PS2, but that's so hard to find now physically. So if the 3DS really is your only option, I do recommend it because it's probably my favorite Tales game. Kind of house between that and like Symphony of Vesperia, but Abyss is really solid. Um, if you can get past certain characters in the story for a little while, which I know is a common complaint, but I still it's still serviceable. Like you can definitely play that game on 3DS, and if you can find the physical version of it, like go for it. Because I doubt it's on.
Oh
eShop.
wow, yeah. Tales of the Abyss 3DS was physical only. I did not realize that. Thanks to our chat. So that's
Okay.
weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's an odd omission because I feel like that was a time where Tales was starting to get more popular again. But
And
yeah, it's
you
just
would think
odd
it
it's
would take
physical
no
only.
effort. And actually, similar to that, well, not similar, but another one Ash would definitely recommend: Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call, the sequel. Oh my God, so many Final Fantasy tracks in there.
And you got all of them.
Yeah, and if you get the DLC, basically 100 more songs from across Square Enix. It is ridiculous.
Crazy.
But as Ash will attest, to get all that is basically $100. So maybe pick and
Good
choose the
lord,
songs you
it's,
really want in there.
Yeah. It's steep.
And then me, the Dragon Quest fan, we never got Theater Rhythm Dragon Quest in
I
the West.
know.
Aw.
That's such garbage.
I'm
Such
so
garbage.
sad.
Oh, goodness. But looking through, that's kind of the major ones that I'm seeing and would recommend. I mean, not sure how hard to find the physical versions of Professor Layton are on 3DS, but yeah, Professor Layton definitely on there as well. You gotta love
I
Layton.
know Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright is pretty
Oh,
expensive.
yeah. That's a big
Yeah.
one. Professor
Which
Layton.
I'm lucky to have a physical copy that I bought at Target for like $20.
Yep, I'm the same way. I fortunately got that one physically as well. So, whew, thank goodness. But yeah, I think that's all my recommendations. I'm kind of wiped out, but unless you guys have any other thoughts of your own.
Yeah. I've hit on all the big ones that speak to me personally.
Right.
Project Cross Zone 2. It's a crazy mix
Ooh.
of characters
Oh,
between
yeah.
Namco, Capcom, and Nintendo. And I think, yeah, there's like Fire Emblem characters in there as well.
There are.
And
Xenoblade.
Xenoblade character. Yeah, it's a crazy crossover. I love my crossovers. I wish we got the Xenoblade Cross Zone 3, but you can definitely. I do believe Cross Zone 2 is downloadable.
I want to say yes, but I mean,
Yeah.
it also has Sagata Senshiro, as again mentioned in our patron chat. Hero of the Sega Saturn, and here to spread its love. it's I've not played a lot, but I know the highlight of that game is just its interactions. You want to see Yakuza characters interact with Mega Man characters? Bam, there you go.
I love how ridiculous it is.
Oh, it is.
Love
it is
it,
something
yeah.
else. And yeah, you can also find classic Game Boy games on its eShop. So you might want to go through there and find some classic Game Boy games. If you want a cheap way to play Mega Man 5 on Game Boy, that's the way to do it. That is the cheapest way you'll find, because, oh boy, you will pay some money for that. Let me see if there's any other like notable ones for that on.
Donkey Kong 94.
I think Donkey Kong 94 is on there as well. Yeah. Gargoyle's Quest is a big one. That's lead up to that. You want Metroid, the original Metroid 2. Maybe it doesn't hold up too well, but I guarantee it's expensive. You want more Kid Icarus love? There's a second game of Myths and Monsters.
There's so many different fun things that the 3DS does, like Link's Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. If you have both of those, you can cross them over. They have that compatibility with each other just by owning the two, and it's so cool.
Yeah, that alone is worth picking those up, so you can have those, because who knows if we'll get another one released. But apparently there's a Mystical Ninja game on Game Boy that's out there. You got the original Wario Land, the 3 Donkey Kong Land games, all of the actually no Mega Man 2, but I mean that was kind of the worst one from what I hear. But Mega Man, actually no, you got all the Mega Man games are there. Excuse me, but yeah, all the Mega Man Game Boy games there are there to enjoy. Even the Extreme games for Game Boy Color. It's ridiculous how much you can find on there that is worth picking up. It's not so much of a big deal anymore, but hey, Shantae was on there. That's how I first played it. The original Shantae.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Check your virtual consoles. Check your virtual consoles. That is well worth doing if you want to have these legally anyway.
It's clear from this discussion that the virtual console is probably like the biggest thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so. So that or very expensive RPGs or niche games. That's where the digital really comes in and helps you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Well, any other suggestions that we can lay out for people to hopefully pick up?
Download Netflix on your 3DS.
Beautiful. That's that way you can say you can have Cuphead on your 3DS.
There you go.
I mean, you can't do it on Switch, so you can get it on a console that actually matters.
There you go. All right. Well, with that, I think that covers it for our 3DS and Wii U digital recommendations before the eShop closes. And remember that it might not close until next year, but the ability to buy them is ending, I think, in May. Pretty soon. It's sooner than you'd think.
Soon.
Definitely this year before the summer. I know that for a fact.
Is it sooner than that?
But yeah, you won't be able to use your credit card, and then I think by the end of summer you won't be able to use eShop cards. So you have yeah. Okay, we got a confirmation here. Adding funds ends in May, but you can still buy until the next year. So you might be able to add funds, but if the funds aren't in there, you're not buying them. So this is definitely something to keep an eye out on. And thank you, chat. Prepaid cards are in August, like I thought. So keep that in mind. You'll want to get on it sooner rather than later because might not shut down until next year, but the ability to actually buy them is going a lot quicker. So yeah, keep that in mind. And yeah, let us know in the comments any other recommendations. Recommend to each other. Find out what other games that you can suggest to people that they might miss out on, they might be interested in. Really come together to show what's some hidden gems that people might miss out on and might enjoy. But
download Pokemon Bank. It's going to be free for a while.
Yeah, Pokemon Bank as well. That's a good idea. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/gvgaming. But even just subscribing to the channel and ringing that bell helps us a ton. So until next time, bye.
See ya.
Till we meet again.